So loving everywhere, so give me the night.
George Benson won 3 of his 10 Grammys for Gimme the Night in 1981, but his music career started much earlier. At 8, he was already playing in clubs in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But his soul jazz career really took off in his early 20s. He still uses the guitar picking technique he honed back then. It was legendary producer and musician Quincy Jones who helped convince him to cross over from jazz to pop. Throughout his career, he's collaborated with an incredible number of other successful musicians. Here he is with B.B. King. Others include Miles Davis, Frank Sinatra, Stevie Wonder, and more recently, Gorillaz. I mean, you were playing very young. You were a child prodigy.
That's right.
I mean, how did that happen? Because we have a picture of you playing in a nightclub when you were 8 years old.
It goes back further than that. Actually, my mother sang to me all the time as a kid. When I was born, I remember looking up into her face. She was always either humming or eating something and humming a song at the same time. And she was very young herself. My mother was only about 15 when I was born, you know. And so when I started playing the ukulele at 7 years old, because my hands weren't big enough to play a guitar, somebody heard me play on a street corner, and they asked me to introduce them to my parents. So I took them home and to my parents, and they asked my mother if I could work in a nightclub. She said, absolutely not. He's too young for that. But he offered her more money than she could refuse. You know, like $40 or $50 a night. That was gigantic money in those days.
So you were putting food on the table at 8 years old?
And didn't know it, you know, because money don't mean anything to a little kid. Once he gets his ice cream, he's happy.
Did you deliberately cultivate your picking style, or is that just the way you play?
That's more like it. My father came to me one day, the one who taught me, my stepfather taught me to play guitar. He had a guitar pick in his hand, and he said, I'm going to give you this pick. Take it out of my hand. So I took the pick out of his hand. He said, now play the guitar. And I started playing again. He said, that's going to be your technique for the rest of your life. I said, boy, that's interesting. You know, I still play. That's what I use today.
Having been recognized as a guitarist, though, you then sort of, you know, you had huge disco hits. I mean, I think I first, you know, heard George Benson with Gimme the Night.
Give me the night.
What did you make of that era of music? Did you enjoy it?
Music was in transition then. They were finally accepting the fact that a jazz musician could become an R&B artist, pop artist, anything you wanted to be. Started with Glenn Campbell back there. I am a lineman for the county, you know. So it wasn't brand new, but nobody expected me to come from where I came from and leap to, you know, to a high position in the charts and among musicians.
So do you feel optimistic about where music is?
I hear great musicians all the time, and I know their potential is so incredible. They could change the world overnight, just like Prince did, and little Michael Jackson, you know. I
mean, you mentioned Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson here is obviously very controversial now as a subject.
Yes.
Where are you on that? How do you feel about all of that? Do you believe the allegations that have been made against him?
I could never measure that because I have no knowledge of all of that. I leave that alone. I always judge people by our relationship. The relationship between me and an individual. His music is one thing.
You know, some people say we should stop listening to it.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, no. You would lose a lot, you know, unless it was representing all the things they were talking about. Music doesn't matter. It's just standard romantic songs, dance tunes, that's all it is, yeah.
So separate the artist from the music.
And the Michael Jackson I knew was a man who was like me, knocks on doors with a Bible in his hand. See, that's not a guy who, all the things they were saying. Remember they said the Prince died of drugs, as if he was a drug user. That's completely different than the man I knew.
Well, George Benson, it's a pleasure to listen to your stories. We could listen for a long, long time, but we've got to let you go. Thank you very much indeed.
Hey, the pleasure's mine. Thank you.